This is a severe weather alert from the Live Doppler 15 Fury Weather Center.
Meteorologist Rob Leidick here with another update. I know some people are complaining about the Colts game. We'll get you back to the game as soon as we can, but we have had reports of a tornado on the ground in Jay County. So this is a serious situation. If you live especially in the northeastern quadrant of Jay County, you need to get to your safe spot. We are still seeing some indications of rotation that's pretty strong here on radar. And again, this is tracking northeast at 45 miles per hour. It's going to be moving out of our viewing area soon, so that's good news there. But if you live in Jay County in this red box here, you need to make sure you get to your safe spot because this storm has had a history of producing a tornado. We are getting some reports from spotters of damage. A lot of the area residents reporting at least a brief touchdown for a while. With more on storm reports coming in, let's turn things over to Chief Meteorologist Nicholas Frere. He's in the Weather Center.
All right, thanks, Rob. An active day for sure across the region. This is what we know so far. We had that likely tornado in Jay County earlier on. We're hearing from the Jay County Sheriff of damage to homes, barns, and other structures from an area near 550 South and State Road 1, with that damage moving to the northeast. We know Huntertown. Lots of flooding reports coming in from the Huntertown Fire Department. We're talking about the area from Lima Road between State Road 3 and Schoaf Road, 4 to 6 inches of standing water there.
Flash flooding is going to be the big threat here over the next hour or two. The good news also with all of this is that the cold front continues to depart. We'll widen out the view and you can see the back edge of the rain now moving into western portions of Allen County. Here with an update on some of the storm reports we've had so far. Let's turn things over to Chief Meteorologist Nicholas Frere.
Yeah, I want to share a couple of quick pictures just to emphasize the type of damage that we've been seeing with the storms through today. Here now we have two pictures side by side that emphasize the fact that we've had a number of trees down across the area, and there on the right-hand side of your screen, what appears to be a power pole snapped. Plenty of power outages being reported from today's storms, along with the flooding concerns. Now a picture from Robin Miller of Dunkirk, Indiana. When she submitted this, she wrote that the tornado touched down, destroyed a barn on the property, the barn just built, taking the roof also off the in-laws' house. No one was hurt, but the house down there not habitable in any way.
We've been following breaking news after today's severe weather. There is extensive damage reported in multiple counties in northeast Indiana and northwest Ohio. This is video from Diane Reynolds in Salina along Haveman Road, where several businesses and structures have been destroyed by a possible tornado. The emergency management director there, Mike Robbins, says 8 people have been injured. 6 people were hurt at a restaurant. 1 person was hurt at a business. You can see a couple of the buildings there, especially the Dollar General has partially collapsed. Another person was hurt in a car crash. That after the crash happened because a power pole came down. All 8 of the people that have been injured were told do not have life-threatening injuries. There's also reports of homes that are damaged, and we have not confirmed any fatalities, but we are in touch with emergency managers there gathering more information. Also in Salina, most of the town is without power. Crews are assessing the damage and trying to figure out if they can reroute power switches to get power back on. As far at this point, though, they do not have a timetable for any restoration. Also in Jay County, south of Fort Wayne, there has been reports of a possible tornado. Here's a look at Tyler Lau's video of a possible funnel cloud off in the distance there. There is extensive damage reported in the Portland area as well as around Red Key and Dunkirk. We know that a natural gas substation, there was reports of a possible gas leak there. Crews were assessing that to determine if it was fixable or if there were any other concerns regarding that situation. We also have reports in Jay County of homes that have been damaged and barns. We know that a pig farm was struck and has possibly killed several pigs there. We do have crews in both areas. They are just arriving here within the last 30 to 40 minutes. They are gathering information and more video. Here's some video also in Jay County of large trees that have been uprooted. Again, power outages across multiple counties in northeast Indiana and northwest Ohio are in the thousands. Also in Jay County, by the way, it's worth noting that there have been no reports of injuries. If you know anyone in that area, check on them now. That is important. That with the power being out and phone communications possibly hampered in some areas, they may need assistance. There is in Jay County, I believe just north of Portland, they have set up a command center to help them assess the situation. So we are continuing to gather video and images here into the newsroom. We've got a lot of it posted for you on Wayne.com. The weather for the moment appears to have calmed down. Chief Meteorologist Nicholas Ferreri and meteorologist Rob Leidick have been in the Weather Center all afternoon tracking the storms. They've got an update. Guys, are we kind of in the clear for the rest of the night?
Yeah, well, at least for now, Rod, I can say Rob and I are pretty happy we're able to give you some positive news at this point. Our severe storm threat, including that tornado threat, has greatly decreased from what we saw earlier, although a number of you still seeing some rain.
Jay County's EMA director reports more than 2,500 homes and businesses lost power today. 16 houses were destroyed, as well as many farms. We had heart-to-hearts with a couple of families who are thanking God they're still alive.
My husband Casey and I are the owner of this property that was hit by a tornado earlier this afternoon.
All you could see was debris flying in the air. You couldn't see maybe 10 feet away from you. It was chaos.
Residents of Jay County describing the tornado that ripped through their homes and businesses. They're calling it unbelievable and terrifying. Jenny Wagner's facility that holds 8,000 hogs was destroyed.
My husband and I were in checking the pigs when the tornado hit, and we were actually in the barn, and we made it through, thank God.
None of their hogs were hurt either. In less than a mile away, Emily Walter and Brandon Daly were running for their lives.
I'm pretty speechless. I don't really know.
The couple were at Emily's house putting together Christmas presents when they saw the tornado coming. They fled the house to find cover in a ditch down the road.
All you can really think about is getting in the ditch, getting down, and hoping that you make it through.
And how long did you guys wait before?
It wasn't long.
We were maybe in the ditch for 25, 30 seconds, but it felt like it was forever.
Emily was the only member of her family that was home at the time. Once she was safe,
She called us up and said, "Hey, our house is gone."
her sister Sarah is heartbroken.
I grew up here. This is my home. There's so many memories in that house. It's just home, and it breaks your heart to see that it's just gone.
Their father Alan is in disbelief.
The house itself was blown clear across the yard, clear across this field down here. From what I understand, the tornado came basically right straight through my house.
In its rampage, it even blew over the semi-truck he drives for work. But even in all the rubble, he's thankful. Now they rebuild. When you see this, I mean, what do you...
I'm just grateful that my family, nobody was hurt. We're very blessed. I'm just mostly grateful. So yes, thankful, that nobody was hurt.
Jay County's EMA director tells us the first thing they'll do in the morning is visit every home and business affected by the storm to assess damage.
Those straight line winds of up to 90 miles per hour with this particular thunderstorm warning. It is a Doppler detected tornado warning. We haven't had spotter recognition of this, and we may not, because it is very difficult to spot unless you see a lot of lightning around it at this time of the night.
But boy, is it still powerful. It is held up intensity. We're still seeing the chance at perhaps some tornadoes, all this lightning. Perhaps we'll even see some flooded areas as a result of the heavy rain.
And once again, if you're just getting up, joining us right now, let's catch you up. This is what the Empyrean camera looks like, and of course, heavy rainfall. Look at that vivid lightning that is happening right now. I would not be surprised, as Nicholas said, that we did see some intense rainfall and some flooding around the area, so that's going to be a problem even after this particular storm passes.
About 10 minutes ago, as I stepped out to get into the truck, there was some real small hail for just a brief moment. But the biggest thing I'm seeing now is a lot of ponding on the road, a lot of water, and some small twigs and branches. I haven't seen anything here along state. I'm heading north. I'm going to head up to Lima towards the Huntertown area first, and then kind of track towards the east behind this line of storms that you guys have just been talking about.
This is a busy night, playing out as expected. We have all 4 of the Live Doppler 15 Fury Storm Team members in the Weather Center tonight. See Rob next to me, Hannah there, Greg's over at the wall.
We'll be continuing this flood coverage here throughout the day on tonight at 5 and 6 on News Channel 15. Also, we have a complete listing of all the road closures on Wayne.com.
Water-covered roadways, if you do encounter those tonight, turn around, find another route. It is too difficult to make it through those, and it is not worth risking your lives. We've had viewer photos throughout the night showing this. This photo on your screen now, taken early earlier on South Clinton, just south of Pontiac. You can see the road covered with water there.
We are watching the potential for some flooding across the area, and I wanted to give you an update. There's more to talk about than I have time for in the cut-ins on CBS right now, so that's why I wanted to come to you live on Facebook and maybe answer some of your questions, take any of your reports if you're seeing any flooding already this hour.
With a deluge of rain our area has seen recently, rivers are running high.
Flood warnings are in effect for many rivers in northeast Indiana and northwest Ohio. Meteorologist Rob Leidig joins us now with a check on river levels and the crest forecasts. How are things looking out there, Rob?
Well, we have picked up over 3 inches of rain in the past week alone, and as you can see right now, we are not done. The rain's going to continue out here tonight.
You saw us talking about the potential for large-sized hail, perhaps up to billiard ball-sized hail. So that would be quite significant. Anything quarter size and above could cause damage to your cars, to your siding, to your home, trees around the property. And of course, these storms bring gusty winds.
But there are some places, even along the bigger rivers, where we've got some indications of flooding. I'll step out of the way. I'm near the Harrison Street Bridge in downtown Fort Wayne, and you can see the River Greenway, the sidewalk here where bikes usually travel, completely flooded right now behind me. But the geese and the ducks sure are loving this weather. Here's a look at Storm Tracker right now. It's been very active all morning long. Several rounds of rain and storms have passed through, and because of that, what we call training, where you just see round after round of heavy rain, we are watching the potential for some flash flooding. This noontime hour, we don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, but you can see one round of heavy rain now departing, moving over towards Ohio, and another round now entering Huntington County. We'll zoom in a little bit closer down towards the Portland area, seeing some precipitation rates of well over 2 inches per hour. Many places picking up quite a bit of rainfall in just a short amount of time, so watch out for some flash flooding. That's still going to be a problem in Huntington and Roanoke here as this batch continues to slide on through. Here's a look at the timing. We've put a track on this. Roanoke at around 12:29, Mount Etna by around 12:40, Markle at 12:44, and Uniondale by around 12:54. And this could also produce some wind gusts of up to around 50 or 60 miles per hour. We've seen some reports of some damaging hail around a dime size, and again, some very heavy rainfall. Flash flooding certainly going to be likely, and we're not done. We've got another batch of some storms over towards South Bend. This is also tracking southeastward and could become severe later on this afternoon. Coming up tonight at 6, I'll be talking about where to go once you get some of those severe weather alerts. But the good news is we're not tracking any severe weather in the forecast in the near term, right?
That's right. We have a calm day ahead tomorrow, a much colder day. That's going to be a big change, because we've seen a number of damage reports and power outages across the area. For an update on what's going on, we'll turn to meteorologist Rob Leidig, live in the elements. How you holding up, Rob?
Hi there, Nicholas. It's still very windy out here this evening, and the wind has been destructive. We've got numerous reports of trees down and power outages. According to I&M Power, we've got about 6,000 outages in the Fort Wayne area. Hey, spring begins in just 8 days. I start off with that because we're actually tracking some snow that's on the way. So just a reminder that we are still technically in the winter season. Well, from stretches of 60s and 70s to the warmest February on record, it's no wonder that trees and flowers are confused. I traveled around town today and saw numerous signs of spring. At Foster Park, not only are there buds on the trees, but even a few yellow crocuses. The grass is a bit greener, tulips and even some weeds are already up. According to experts, some of these buds and blossoms are running about 2 to 3 weeks ahead of schedule. Less than a week ago, where I'm standing, this was actually the St. Mary's River. Now, the river levels have receded by at least a good 40 feet here in Gilden Park, but as you can see, the St. Mary's behind me still pretty high and also raging. We were actually supposed to be talking about the naming of the canal boat tonight, but that, of course, has been postponed by at least a week due to these high river levels. It's a true sign of fall here in the Summit City, and some would say it's bushels of fun. And it really gets you to immerse yourself into the 1800s era life, celebrating the life and times of John Chapman, better known as Johnny Appleseed.
How did all the summer rain impact the apple crop? Meteorologist Rob Leidig joins us live from Advanced Tree Technology in New Haven tonight with the details. Rob.
Brett and Heather, it's always nice when a meteorologist can get out of the studio and enjoy Mother Nature, and what a better place to be than an apple orchard. I'm joined right now by Mark Brewick. You own Advanced Tree Technology, co-owner, and this has been around for about 30 years now. And as Rod was saying, too, it's a crisp start out here this morning. I can't even say that. My lips are a little frosty, I think.
My lips are crisp.
You say your toes are a little cold. We've seen some people running without shirts on. But this weather out here this morning, better than it would have been this time last weekend. And the weather, cooler than it's been the past couple of years here at the Fort for Fitness Fall Festival. Let's take a look at some of those stats. Now, last year, we actually had a little bit of drizzle as the runners were getting ready. No rain during the race itself, but temperatures were only in the 50s. Say it ain't snow, because I'm tracking several inches of snow on the way for Monday and Tuesday. You'll want to dig out those shovels. Your full forecast is coming up next. This snow continues to fly out there this evening. Reduced visibility is going to be a problem if you're driving home or driving around later on tonight, too. Chief Meteorologist Nicholas Ferrari is tracking the back edge of this snow. What's the latest, Nicholas?
Well, Rob, we still have a few more hours to go for the snow before it tapers off and ends by late evening.
Numerous slide-offs, cars into medians, a slid into a ditch. And a lot of the accidents have been reported, especially north of Fort Wayne. I was texting back and forth with a friend, and he said north of Washington Center Road, there's a significant difference in the quality of how the roads are versus south. Once you get north of that Allen County line going into DeKalb County, we were on 69, quite a bit of snow in Auburn and Angola already.
Yeah, now Tina has reported some accidents like on Gump Road, the northern part of Allen County, just getting to that DeKalb County line, and I guess travel is very slow up there from what she's saying. So this is like the precursor to the snow that we're going to get across the area.
Yeah, News Channel 15's meteorologist Rob Leidick is our roaming reporter this morning. He's checking out conditions as snow begins to fall. Rob?
Good morning. We are driving north right now on I-69, really going from Allen County into DeKalb County. And as Greg mentioned, this is where we're seeing most of the snow. I've definitely slowed down my speed here because we've got some poor visibility. Now, the snow is that powdery, fluffier snow. Right now, the Fury Tracker, or as I call it in the wintertime, the Flurry Tracker, showing a temperature of about 21 degrees. So that's why we are seeing that fluffy snow.
Hi, everybody. Chief Meteorologist Nicholas Ferrari, live out here at the eclipse viewing party at Jefferson Point. My handy Wayne weather app tells me it's 85 degrees, but it feels like 92, and I can verify that is the case. We're having a lot of fun out here. We have a huge crowd. We've had 1,000 eclipse glasses to be given away, and I heard they're all spoken for, right, Kat?
They are. We had to cut off the line a long time ago, but we are still getting through the line, passing out the glasses.
All right, that's Katrina Newman here from Jefferson Point. It has been a busy afternoon. We have a crowd of people looking at the sun, enjoying it through their eclipse glasses. Remember, that is the only safe way to look at the eclipse here this afternoon. We even cannot pan up to it with our cameras because our cameras would get damaged if they look straight at the sun. In Northeast Indiana, Northwest Ohio, remember, we're only 86% blocked. What do you think when you looked up with your glasses? How cool was that? On a level of 1 to 10, how cool was that?
It looks like a toenail.
Oh, a toenail. Oh. She was describing there that when you look up at the sun, it looks like a toenail. As far as darkness outside here, well, it's darker. We can tell it's not as bright as when we first got here at 1 o'clock. But it's certainly not twilight or nighttime. No one would confuse it for that. And that's how it will continue to be. Remember, 2:25 is our peak eclipse time, and we're now within 1 minute of that. We are now there. My phone has just changed, 2:25. So now is the moment. If you've been waiting for the peak time to put on your solar eclipse glasses and look up, this is the time.
The weather may be calm today, but at this exact time last year, it was anything but.
Yeah, today marks 1 year since our area had a historic tornado outbreak. 22 tornadoes tore through Indiana and Ohio, 9 of them in our viewing area. Meteorologist Rob Leidick joins us from the Weather Center now with a look back on what caused the unprecedented weather on this day last year.
That's right. It went down in the record books as the largest single tornado event to occur in August in both Indiana and Ohio. And it happened in a month we rarely see twisters.
Unprecedented, and in most people's lifetimes, this is the first time anything like that has happened.
August 24th, 2016 began with a leftover bunch of storms that had fired the night before in Iowa and Illinois. All forecast models pointed to these weakening and cloud cover preventing the air from becoming unstable in northeast Indiana and northwest Ohio. But that didn't happen.
And the unusual thing was, at least with that particular system, is how strong it was. All of the primary tornado-producing supercells that day did interact with the warm front at one time or another. That particular feature in itself was instrumental for the tornado development.
By just after 3 p.m., a supercell had developed on the north side of Kokomo. We were tracking the storm as it moved into our area.
This is a severe weather alert from the Live Doppler 15 Fury Weather Center.
A tornado warning now in effect for Grant County.
It has had a history of producing a tornado. It did a lot of damage in Kokomo. Take a look at some of these photos that we actually had sent in. To completely leveled a Starbucks. Look at that.
On Storm Tracker, we saw the storms reach their peak intensity on the northeast side of Allen County and in Paulding and Defiance counties. And the storm reports confirmed what we were seeing on radar.
Oh my gosh, Dwayne, it's on the ground. Look at that.
Look at that flying through the air.
That's someone's swing set.
Ricker and Doty Road, Allen County. Is back on the ground, multi-vortex tornado.
It was a large, it was probably at least a quarter-mile wide.
Tornado at least 200 yards wide, and it just clipped the corner of a mobile home park. I've had to stop because there's so much damage in the road.
It's kind of chilling to hear that real time as you're sitting on the radar issuing warnings. That was pretty powerful stuff.
After more than 5 hours of severe weather coverage on News Channel 15 and Facebook Live, the storms weakened and moved out of our area. The National Weather Service went out to survey the damage the following day and saw destruction consistent with stronger tornadoes.
We saw some very intense crop damage. In fact, northeast of Woodburn, we saw a cornfield flat to the ground, pulled out of the ground, and there's actually a scour path.
Winds were estimated to be as high as 165 miles per hour with that particular tornado, which would be rated as an EF3 on the enhanced Fujita scale.
It was pushing EF4. I mean, we saw some things that debarking off of trees, ground scour that we hadn't seen before, especially in this neck of the woods with intense tornadoes, where the tornado tracks across the road and actually removes part of the roadbed.
The tornado was on the ground for 11 minutes and tracked more than 5.5 miles. Amazingly, there were no fatalities and only one minor injury was reported.
Had that tornado developed 20 minutes earlier, it would have tracked through the northeast side of Fort Wayne and done a considerable amount of damage.
In addition to the EF3 Woodburn tornado, the National Weather Service also confirmed an EF2 tornado just northeast of Antwerp and another just northwest of Defiance. EF1 tornadoes were confirmed near Bern and Van Wert. They also confirmed several smaller EF0 tornadoes, most in Van Wert County.
It was really crazy working this event, and this particular day reminded a lot of us of supercells that are typically seen in Oklahoma.
For many, it was a weather event they'll never forget, including those who were forecasting and surveying the storm damage.
There was a farm residence northeast of Woodburn that was hit, and he had a Lincoln Continental in one of his garages that was picked up and carried over 1/3 of a mile out into his field. In addition, he had a dump truck, a landscape dump truck, that was ripped apart in 3 pieces.
It's only the second occurrence since 1950 of an EF3 or stronger tornado in all of northern Indiana. And the farmer that he just mentioned, well, we talked to him and his wife about the damage that day and how they're doing 1 year later. You'll hear from them tonight at 6. Of course, it was an unforgettable day, including those of us here at Wayne TV. It's something that I've never experienced before and hope I never do again. We'll be live on Facebook Live, all of us, starting at 5:30 to talk about our memories from that day, and we want to hear from you too. So hope you can join us here in about 15 minutes.
It was such an incredible experience, too. They just kept popping up more and more, and you guys were on air, well, we all were in some fashion for hours.
Yeah,
about
4 or 5 hours total.
Yeah, just incredible, unbelievable memory.
Crazy day.
Yeah, and so thankful that no one got hurt, really.
Absolutely. That's really the miracle in all of this. Paul Rackaway has lived a life full of memories on his Woodburn family farm, but he says none can compare to what he experienced on this date last year.
For me, it was just total disbelief, and never in any of my dreams did I ever think that we would ever have a tornado hit our place here.
The unthinkable happened to Paul and Nettie Rackaway's Woodburn farm on August 24th, 2016. An EF3 tornado, the largest in Allen County in more than 50 years, tracked right through their property as it crossed Dorman Road. Their home was heavily damaged, several of their outside buildings destroyed. We spoke with them a day after the storm as the cleanup was just beginning.
People have been bringing in boxes and totes and everything for us to try to salvage what we can and get it out of the house.
Now, 1 year later, they're remembering what they discovered in the days, weeks, and months that followed.
The trunk of the car they found over on Ely Road, which was over half a mile. The dump truck, the cab, was about 1,000 feet out into the field.
We had someone come to the house and bring us a picture, and it had our daughter's name on it from when she was 7 years old, and they found it in Hicksville Park.
That's about 15 miles away from the Rackaway farm. But even more surprising were the things they never found.
In the barn I had a gleaner combine that it was about 1,000 feet out into the field. And the odd part about that is the engine was gone. And so I was concerned when they harvested the corn they were going to run into that engine. And they took all of the corn out last fall, never did find the engine.
Paul and Nettie may have lost their belongings and their buildings to a twister, but they gained a greater sense of community than they've ever known.
It's a blessing, and we have a wonderful community here. People really come together, and people we don't even know, people from all faiths, from all walks of life, just showed up and did things without even being asked to do things. God sent them to us.
The Rackaways weren't home when the storm took place. They were at a local Woodburn restaurant. They say that was a blessing, and the fact that no one was killed in the storm is nothing short of a miracle.
It's amazing the force that the tornado had. We had interior doors that were blown off the hinges. It was 75 feet from the main path of the tornado to the corner of our house. So if it would have been over 100 feet closer, the house would have been gone. If we would have been home, we may not be standing here talking to you today.
Unlike Paul and Nettie, their neighbor, Rodney Delagrange, was home during the storms.
I was watching the news, I heard there was bad weather coming, and I kept hearing it was getting closer and closer, so I looked out the window and I could just see it past the barn. So I knew I better go for cover.
The tornado ripped the roof right off his family's barn before tearing a path northeastward.
But just the shock coming out afterwards. And everything, just stuff everywhere.
1 year later, most things have been rebuilt here in Woodburn, but there are still some constant reminders of the tornado that produced 165-mile-per-hour winds. Case in point, the trees behind me.
More scars can be seen in nearby forests, but Rodney has a new roof on his barn. The Rackaways' home has been fixed, and most of their outside buildings have been rebuilt. Still, it's a day they'll not soon forget.
So when the storm warnings come out, heed them.
Listen to your weather people.
Right.
They know what they're talking about when they say get away from the windows and doors, seek shelter. Do it right away. Do it. Listen to you guys.
While some would take the tornado as a sign they should move on, Paul and Nettie say it was just the opposite for them, reinforcing that Woodburn is their home. They're actually having a party with friends and family at their home tonight. News Channel 15's Kelly Roberts will have that story on Nightcast. And this is actually the same spot I was sitting in during the tornado outbreak last year. I've just uploaded this story and some other incredible video from that day on Wayne.com. In the Weather Center, Rob Leidick, News Channel 15.
On this day 5 years ago, we became familiar with the term derecha, which is Spanish for direct or straight ahead.
That term was used to describe a line of storms that brought damaging straight-line winds to our area. Meteorologist Rob Leidick is here now to revisit that storm 5 years later. So what caused it all to happen?
Well, the spring of 2012 was one of the warmest and driest on record. And with a setup like that, Lake Michigan actually played a key role. Take a look.
First thing I thought was this is probably the worst thunderstorm I've ever seen.
And I got blown off my porch about 6 feet into my yard.
For many, June 29, 2012 is a day they'll never forget.
And so it began as the remnants of a cluster of thunderstorms over northern Illinois early that morning, and was able to further develop and intensify along a stationary boundary that was right over our area.
You may be surprised to know that Lake Michigan had an influence on intensifying these storms. The cooler air over lake waters rushed inland, or what is known as a lake breeze. That caused warm, unstable air to rapidly rise. On this particular day, the instability was extreme. Storms quickly strengthened and formed a line of intense winds in northwest Indiana by around 1:30 p.m. Racing southeast at speeds of 50 to even 65 miles per hour, the National Weather Service began to quickly issue warnings for winds. The velocity tools on radar began detecting widespread wind gusts of over 60 miles per hour.
In Whitley County, there were 80 to 100-foot power line poles that were taken down from this storm.
Around 2:50 that afternoon, Fort Wayne International Airport reported a 91-mile-per-hour wind gust. That's the equivalent of an EF1 tornado and the strongest wind gust reported throughout the entire duration of this storm. The storms raced southeast through Van Wert and all the way to the eastern seaboard, leaving a path of destruction more than 600 miles long.
The actual occurrence of a derecho is not necessarily that uncommon. For one so long-lived as this particular event was, is very unusual. That it could develop over the Midwest, carry through the Appalachian Mountains, and make it all the way to the eastern seaboard. Its ability to maintain itself was fascinating.
As if the aftermath of the derecho itself wasn't enough, it occurred during one of the hottest stretches on record in Fort Wayne.
After the storm, with over 80,000 people in the Fort Wayne viewing area without power and in that middle of that heat wave, made for a bad combination.
From June 27th all the way through July 18th, or 22 days in total, we had temperatures of 90 degrees or above. That's the longest consecutive stretch of 90 or higher in Fort Wayne. And that stretch included 4 days in a row of temperatures over 100.
Happened to be the hottest week of the year. It was 105 degrees, and I think the house wound up at about 89 degrees inside.
Yeah, it was cooler outside than it was inside.
With several days of no power and in some cases no water, it was difficult for people to keep cool in the summer heat. Cooling centers opened up throughout the area and some businesses gave out free ice.
All told, from just south of Chicago all the way to the mid-Atlantic coast, the derecho was responsible for 22 deaths and close to $3 billion in damage. 4 to 5 million people lost power in total. It was, of course, an incredible storm and a very tough one to forecast. Happy December, everyone. Today is the first day of meteorological winter. That goes December, January, and February. And those are the 3 months when we see the coldest weather of the year here in Fort Wayne. As we begin this month, typically highs should be in the lower 40s. Lows in the upper 20s. By the end of the month, highs only just above freezing and lows in the upper teens. But we'll stay on the mild side here for the next couple of days, though there are some signs in our 10-day forecast that will be really cooling down. Chief Meteorologist Nicholas Ferrari will have our official Live Doppler 15 Fury winter weather outlook tonight at 6 p.m. I can tell you that La Nina will be playing a factor in this meteorological winter season.
After an analysis by your Live Doppler 15 Fury storm team, the verdict is unanimous. This winter's main driver will be the weak La Nina pattern that's expected to persist. La Nina is a significant cooling of the waters off the west coast of South America, which affects many elements in the atmosphere, including the jet stream and potential winter storm tracks. Here's a general look of how it affects us. The polar jet stream often dips south, providing some cold periods, and this pattern supports storm tracks through our region, giving an often moisture-rich season. However, a winter just like this is more likely with a moderate or strong La Nina, so we can't rely completely on this setup this year. Instead, for the 2017-2018 winter outlook, we've analyzed these 10 likely comparable weak La Nina winters. Our analysis reveals that in such years, the temperature trend for the season as a whole often ends up near average or above, with precipitation amounts also near average or above, including all different types, like rain, snow, and ice. In a weak La Nina, our temperatures often start off colder than average in December, ending up warmer during January and February. With precipitation, the trend is for near or above average precipitation throughout each of the winter months. Whether we see rain, snow, or ice all depends on the temperatures we're experiencing at the time. For example, last year was a weak La Nina year where we had above average total precipitation, but well below average snowfall due to a warmer temperature pattern. Through late fall, we remain free of accumulating snow, but as we move through the first weeks of December, that's likely to change. From the Live Doppler 15 Fury Weather Center, I'm Nicholas Ferrari.
Coverage you can count on continues with Chief Meteorologist Nicholas Ferreri's live Doppler 15 Fury forecast.
Well, we've had lots of weather information presented during this newscast, but if you're just tuning in now, let me give you a quick recap. A handful of tornado reports came in with storms across the region earlier, and we got this viewer photo from our Wayne weather app. A viewer took this of the storm as it was going through Wabash tonight. And what you're seeing here is this tornado just forming. It took on a rope formation soon after this photo was shot, and that was when it extended farther to the southeast. You can almost get a glimpse there of it coming together. As far as where these reports came in, well, we were looking at Wabash and Huntington counties primarily, from Rowan down to Wabash, then in Huntington County from Andrews southward, then also a tornado reported near Van Wert County just to the south in Mercer County. Again, final confirmation for these tornadoes will come when the National Weather Service heads out in the coming days to assess whether the damage was actually produced by a tornado. But we can't forget that it wasn't just tornadoes and strong storms during the evening that we experienced today. When the day began, we had heavy rain spread across the region, and that resulted in a number of heavy rain and flood reports. Those came in primarily from Fort Wayne northward, whereas tonight's active storm activity came in from Fort Wayne to the south. As far as rainfall amounts from today, including the morning storms and the evening storms, we had amounts that varied greatly. Our radar estimates amounts around 2 inches in Fort Wayne. Now down to the southeast in Van Wert County, some spots around 4.5 inches. But not all areas saw such heavy rain. Those areas highlighted in blue here, very light totals, less than an inch. 0.6 inches estimated around Angola. And still some rain falling, and it's heavy in spots like Paulding, still getting pounded with rain to the east of 127 there in Paulding County. Across Fort Wayne, nothing more than just a few scattered sprinkles on the eastern side of the county, from Leo down to Woodburn and near Monroeville. Off to the southwest, we're watching these storms carefully. They could affect southern portions of Wabash County and Grant County. These storms now leaving Kokomo, heading toward Converse, 1125, Marion at 1140, and Upland at 1151. Nothing severe here, but more torrential rain possible. Could also get some gusty winds and smaller sized hail. As far as our severe threat here tonight, it is over. Yes, some storms remain, but they are under severe limits, and I do not expect any additional warnings issued overnight. So that should put you at ease as you head off to bed this evening. We have a warm, muggy week ahead, and more rain and thunderstorms are certainly possible, although within the next 24 hours, no severe weather is expected. What's happening is today's disturbance heads to the south. It stays there, but by the time we get to Wednesday, it's going to come back north, and at that point, we could see storm activity increase once again. We have a temperature of 73 with winds from the east-southeast at 5 miles per hour. You'll note as we activate Futurecast, the returns of rain pretty much become nil once we head into our Tuesday morning. Anything that's around on Tuesday morning, tomorrow morning, would be a scattered sprinkle or shower, very light in nature as we get to the morning commute. Plenty of clouds will linger. Temperatures start off on the warm side near 70, and we'll be in the mid-80s by the time we get to a late afternoon and evening. Our high tomorrow reaches 85 degrees. 72 at 8 in the morning, 80 at noon, and 85 at 4. We look at your exclusive 10-day forecast, and what we're going to see there is the fact that temperatures remain in the 80s. We see rain chances linger till the end of the week. The weekend looks dry, and it is much more comfortable. 80 on Saturday, 82 on Sunday, but heat increases next week. We'll be back to 90 on Tuesday. Heather, Brett?
Thank you very much, Nicholas. We have some breaking news.
Coverage you can count on continues with meteorologist Rob Leidick's live Doppler 15 Fury forecast.
I think I can officially say it when it's the coldest morning of the season so far. Baby, it's cold outside. We dropped down to 16 degrees last hour, besting yesterday, which was the coldest thus far of 17. We're currently now at 17 degrees, which means you need to make sure you bundle up if you head out this morning, because when you factor in the winds at 10 miles per hour, it only feels like 5. So start the car early. Make sure you grab an extra layer or wear those gloves if you're going to be doing some scraping this morning. I had to do my favorite task, ice scraping, as I walked out the door earlier today. But no problems with visibility. Things are quiet downtown this hour. Elsewhere, temperatures coming in at 17 in Defiance, 16 right now in Van Wert. Good morning to you in Kendallville. You're at 14 degrees, and 15 right now over in Wabash. Satellite and radar is quiet throughout northeast Indiana and northwest Ohio. High pressure is in control for most of the day today, though we will be watching some cloud cover move in here late this afternoon, especially this evening, as our next weather system approaches. That's currently situated over northern Minnesota. You really can't see it a whole bunch this hour, but it's a fast-moving clipper system, and it'll dive southeast through the Great Lakes overnight tonight and during the day tomorrow, and eventually bringing us some accumulating snow. Here's a look at futurecast through the day today. Not a whole bunch to talk about. We're looking at mostly sunny skies. It will be a bit warmer than it was yesterday. Some winds from the southwest will pull in some warmer air, and they could gust up to around 20 miles per hour. It'll be right around 32 this afternoon in Fort Wayne and 33 down in Bluffton. Now, clouds do increase this evening. Overnight, we become mostly cloudy, and snow arrives after midnight tonight. And by the time you wake up tomorrow morning, we'll see that snow throughout the area, likely a blanket of some snow on the ground. Few inches expected, so watch out for some tricky travel. We'll see a scattered snow through the rest of the day. Some lake effect snow bands may produce some good bursts of snow. Watch out for poor visibility. Eventually, things do wrap up by tomorrow evening. Here's a look at our updated snow forecast. Things have been pretty consistent here, looking at 1 to 2 inches for most of the viewing area. 2 to 3, though, as you get closer to Lake Michigan. So Kendallville, LaGrange, you'll see a bit more. If you're traveling towards South Bend, so northwest Indiana tomorrow, they're likely going to see some significant snowfall, lake-enhanced snow. So watch out there. Here's a look at your day planner. 27 at noon and 32 the high this afternoon. 24 tonight with snow after midnight and some accumulation by tomorrow morning. Things do wrap up, though, by tomorrow evening. We hit 31 on Sunday, partly cloudy and dry, and then more chances for accumulating snow on Monday and Tuesday. Only 24 for the high on Wednesday of next week.